Hello, hello, lovely people. Welcome into That Sounds Gay, a podcast for queer people and people who enjoy queer people. My name is Jer. I will be your podcast host for a short time. We are with Grin and Meadow today. But before that, I want to talk about opinions that are not asked for. I have noticed this trend across the internet, and I don't know, this has been a long time thing, where there's this sort of vaguely parasocial idea that if someone makes a post of any kind on the internet, that you have free reign to give your ugly, unasked for opinion about it. It doesn't matter what it might be. I see it in regards to others' content. I see it in regards to my own. In comments, like YouTube and TikTok are kind of cesspools of human garbage opinions that nobody asked for. And we're all going to have opinions about things. That is a natural response to want to share what your reaction is to something. And there are some things that, you can share your opinion of without attacking the person behind it. Maybe you see a piece of art and it's not for you. You can scroll on by, and not acknowledge it. If you see a piece of art that is potentially offensive and you want to call attention to that and say, hey, this doesn't seem right because, you are portraying this group of people in a discriminatory or an inflammatory way. It's not coming across very sensitive. Maybe watch out for this. Maybe you see a piece of content where someone is just doing the stupidest thing in the whole world, and you want to let people know, please don't do this. It baffles me that these young kids do the things that they do, but I just allow them to be stupid and do their idiot thing unless I think that it's going to hurt someone. There was this really big hurricane that we got last week, and there were these kids who were posting videos of them like doing dips in the hurricane water, and I'm like, there are so many bacteria that's in there. There's so much fecal matter that's in that from sewer water that's coming up. Please don't do that. And there were a lot of people who were commenting and replying with that post like, please don't do this. You're gonna get so many infections from this. Don't play around in hurricane water. And that's something that you should comment on. That's something you should express to others. Hey, this is dangerous activity. Don't do that, right? But then, someone will post something that they really like, someone they really care about. I have a friend who's been posting some videos, and people are just leaving the nastiest comments that have nothing to do with the quality of her videos. It's just commenting on her appearance. And nobody asked. She didn't ask for opinions on her extensions or what they looked like. She didn't ask if she needed help. She's just posting her videos, living her life, living her truth, and she didn't ask anybody about if her extensions looked all right. She didn't ask anybody about her hair and what it looked like, and if anybody wanted to comment on that. And it's ridiculous that people feel that their ugly, nasty, disgusting comments need to be seen. And there's this anonymity that people think they've got on the internet. Oh, I'm user 532865. It's fine. I can tell this bitch whatever I want because it's my opinion and no one can stop me. Well, maybe somebody should have stopped you. Maybe someone should have swallowed instead of producing you. Maybe someone should have parented you better and taught you better things. Maybe you should have been socialized a smidge before you went and shared your nasty gooch grease opinions on the internet that nobody asked for. Dan, in Akron, Ohio, nobody asked you. Maybe someone should have told you not to say certain things, that every single intrusive thought that comes in your brain, maybe some of those inside thoughts could have stayed on the inside and didn't have to go to the outside. That's the real big thing. A lot of people feel that they got to let their inner monologue come out. And I love that you got an inner monologue. I have one too. It is narrated by Ina Garten all the time. She is telling me how fabulous I am. My inner voice comes out when it's in my spaces, you know? It's my show, so I can share whatever thought comes in my brain. I can talk about the things that I want to talk about in the way that I want to talk about them, right? I don't just walk around on the internet or scroll around on the internet, whatever, giving my unwanted opinion to people who didn't ask for it. And I'm an opinionated bitch. I have a lot of things to say. I have a lot of feelings. I have a lot of thoughts, emotions, nouns that I like to share with people. But only when they ask for it, when the door has been open. And there's a lot of people who are like, well, you posted it on the internet. I could say whatever I want. Sure, but should you? Should you say whatever you want? Because your opinion is the zero. Your opinion is the zero. And a lot of these people want attention. They want someone talking to them because they didn't get enough as children, I think. They need someone to validate them, even if it's negative attention. So they'll say something nasty because they want you to reply to them. Because somebody didn't show them enough attention in kindergarten when they made macaroni art of their house, but it really looked like a blob of goo. And so they're like incessantly needing someone to validate them now as an adult, and no one's done it. So they want you to give them that attention. But sometimes the best attention is just a block or a mute button, which I don't even want to talk about why Elon has decided that Twitter's got to remove that block button. I understand what it's for, and it's because he wants to keep conservative voices loud, probably because a lot of us are just blocking these hyper conservatives with a flag in their username, which is an automatic red flag for me. I'm like, okay, so you clearly are drank the Kool-Aid of capitalism. You don't care about the rest of us. You are on your own level of space. I'm just going to block you and not have to deal with you or see you again. There's probably a lot of that happening. And the way that Twitter's algorithm works is that if you get blocked or muted too many times, the algorithm starts to think that you might not have the best things to say, so it doesn't promote your content. And probably he's getting blocked too by a bunch of people, so he's probably not getting his tweets seen, and he probably knows that, so he's getting rid of it, you know, and taking that away. But, you know, the block feature is there for a reason. And I'm a firm believer and a solid believer in use that block button, you bitch. Use it. It's better to just not have to deal with those people, you know? Anyway, let's get into the episode. Thank you for being here. I'm very excited. Let's talk about RuPaul's Drag Race Season 6. And as a reminder, the reason why we do these is because Grin and M are both newer to the show. They have less experience with it. I am a knowledge base of Drag Race factoids and ridiculous theories and corkboard ideas, and we want to share that with all of you. So thank you for tuning in week after week and being here. I hope you're enjoying them. Let's jump into it.
It feels like that's content creation in general. It's like, so I've done 12 hours of editing. I can squeeze in maybe an hour of sleep, and then I have to record again.
Right.
Like, fully wake up like 10 minutes before recording this.
Right. And then it's like, oh, and I have to do all this stuff afterwards, too. Yeah, it's just nonstop. Go, go, go. But we're in we're in season 6 now. And I want to start by saying a lot of people regard this season as one of the best in the franchise. And I wholeheartedly disagree. And really? I don't want to, like, start this off on a bad note, but, like, I don't think this is the strongest season. But a lot of people do.
I liked it well enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fine season. It's not my favorite. You know, I don't really like this season. I'm gonna be honest. I don't like it. I don't like this. I'm sorry.
Wow,
I don't.
Where's the disconnect button?
I like the queens in it. The season itself is forgettable.
Yes.
Oh, fully. There's a great cast this season, which, if you would, Jer.
Yes, yes. Thank you for reminding me because I always forget.
Oh, yes.
In order of elimination, we have Kelly Mantle, who gave us the most important piece of advice you could ever get in life: don't wear bacon. Magnolia Crawford, Vivacious, April Carrion, Gia Gunn, absolutely, Milk, La Gonja Estranja, mouth pop, couldn't do it. Trinity K. Bonet, Jocelyn Fox, keep it foxy. Wah, wah. Ben de la Creme, dip into the cool waters of Darien Lake. Cottony Act, Adore Delanto, and the winner of the season, Bianca Del Rio. Do we have a favorite from this group?
Ben de la Creme, I think, is my favorite.
Yeah.
Just for a variety of reasons. Talented, but is good-spirited. Can be very shady and has some questionable, like, phrases, but it's just like, I enjoy you.
Yeah. I love Jocelyn so much. I turn up to Jocelyn Fox.
I love Ben and Jocelyn. I really loved Milk and like
Did you?
all of her looks. I don't know. I turned up.
Milk was the most interesting on the runway this season, in my opinion.
Milk was definitely the weird one of the bunch.
Yeah.
In the best of ways.
And you know what? Since we're talking about Milk and the runways, that's the reason why I don't like this season. This season seemed to have a really big focus on glamour and on runways mattering, and why is this dress the way that it is? That's Adora's whole plot line, is that her gowns are not pretty. And every outfit, even up to what Bianca wears, is just so like blah, blah, blah. And the queens that are doing really interesting, incredible things, like what Milk does, even what Trinity was doing, was never praised. And it's like they're giving what current Drag Race dreams of having on the runway. If a queen like Milk stepped on the stage now, they would be literally giving her the crown before episode 2 was up, you know? Just for the runway. And I don't like, too, about this season is that it focuses so much on don't look boy. I was up until like, I don't know, 8 or 9 a.m. editing, and I was listening to Drag Race in the background. And even just in the first episode, when April's talking about tailoring the pants and making them high-waisted and fashion, and Rue's like, yeah, it's hard to pull that off when you're a man. Hello?
Fully all of that, except
Yeah.
I'm stuck on the thought of you saying, like, let's talk about Milk and runs. But fully there is that whole connotation, and it's emphasized a lot in this season of, like, don't do boy, like, that's not drag. Like, what are you doing? That doesn't look glamorous.
I don't like when a drag queen uses a man's haircut to do a buzz in the back. What? Why does that matter? Why are you even talking about that? She did a great run. It's stupid.
Yeah, it's like they forget that drag is art.
Right.
And like art is supposed to make you feel something.
Right.
And if you feel angry by looking at it, that's still art.
Right.
That's a good point. Like, if you dislike it, or even better, if you hate it, that's still getting you, like, that same feeling. You're still getting something from art.
Yeah.
Like, you can hate what they do without, like, hating on what they do.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I feel like this season, they were just angry at everything. It felt very much like a season that thought, we're fully pandering to straight people. Every single episode, we're trying to make this the straight audience show.
Right.
So we're going to pick palatable queens who look like women. We're going to call this the fishy season, which I hate that word to begin with. I used to use it a lot in early days of drag, but I hate that phrase fishy. And all the girls say it all the time. And it's just, I don't know. I don't like the way that the season is presented, and I wish that these girls had gotten a better season.
Fully, I think that I agree, this was we're finally mainstream, Straight people, please love us. We need to pay the bills.
Yes. Yes.
And ruined, I think, a lot of what these queens were trying to present.
Mm,
I think it put them in a bad light because, especially how some of them were very crudely critiqued.
yes.
It really, like, this was probably one of the more degrading seasons.
I would agree. Especially Laganja's treatment,
Yes.
Yes.
Trinity's treatment, Jocelyn's treatment, April, Gia, Milk, everybody, the whole cast, Adore. The only ones that got a favorable edit, in my opinion, was Bianca. I think Bianca,
agree.
and to some extent Dayla, because in All of Untucked, they make, and in the main season, they make Courtney look like this mean, awful person, which Willem and Alaska have said that she's not the most soft person when she talks, but they make her seem mean.
Yeah, this you can definitely see the production heavy hand like really smacking this on the bottom and being like, let's get out there for these straights.
We gotta put on a show for the straight men folk, which, oh my god, we have so much to break down in this season. But I first want to talk about the problematic mini challenge. There's a couple things that are no longer present in the show. There is a problematic mini challenge, and this is, I think, one of the things that sort of kicked off the transphobia thing on Ruin Productions end. There's a mini challenge somewhere like in episode 3 or 4, I can't remember which one it is, where they were shown pictures of women and they had to clock if they were female or a pejorative that I will not also say that sounds like female, and clock who was not a woman or was not born a
I
woman.
hated that.
Isn't it awful?
I hated it so much. Like not just like this is cringe. This was
Well, it got
kind
cut.
of like
It doesn't exist in the show, but the fact that it
no,
existed.
but I've seen because I watch the episodes with as little editing as possible. So like anytime they're talking about like being censored and stuff, like I don't hear the beeps. I'm hearing the full on words.
Yeah.
And I saw that from start to finish with them all in a line looking at them and just was like, why was this an idea?
Who greenlit that? That's what I want to know.
And
It's so out of touch. Even for the time, it's just so out of touch.
2013 it would have been filmed. There's no excuse. I think
Right.
gay marriage had just gotten legalized, like in 2012, right?
yes.
I
think.
believe it was either 2012 or like 2014 or something.
Yeah, but there was no excuse.
Around there, either way.
Yeah.
There's no excuse.
Zero excuse. But yeah, that, and then another thing that was cut that I know you've been waiting for, Em. I don't know if you've looked it up.
No.
Maybe you
I
have.
haven't.
Grin, do you know about the lost episode?
I might not.
The wedding challenge episode?
Oh,
Drag
I
My Wedding?
fully, like me totally talking about like seeing the uncut version of everything. No, I didn't know there was a whole episode like gone.
There is an episode that's missing. So episode 9, Drag Queens of Talk, it ends. Trinity goes home. The very next episode is cut. You cannot find it anywhere on TV. During the glitter ball, they do like a little recap, and they're like, "What happened last time?" And they show that Jocelyn got eliminated, and that's like pretty much all they show is that there was a makeover. So the queens have to make over these grooms and turn them into brides, and there's a wedding episode, and it's very cute. So Jocelyn gets paired up with this guy, and there's two big things that happen that are production heavy. One, from what I've heard from people spilling tea, after Trinity left, apparently production took all the makeup that would have gone to a person of color and threw it all out. Because they were like, well, Trinity's not here, so we don't need any of the color revolution stuff for people of color after the skin tone, because everybody that's here is all light-skinned. So they threw it all out. So Jocelyn got paired up with a black man, and she had no makeup to put on him. So he was gray on the runway. Like, I can't even explain to you the corpse gray color that he was, because she didn't have the right skin tone foundation for him or the right makeup for him. So that was totally freaking shady, one. But two, this guy, so they were all, this guy was an athlete, and everybody else was like a big fan of the show. They watched it, blah, blah, blah. This guy, the whole time, he keeps freaking out. And he's like, my teammates are going to hate me. They're going to call me all kinds of names. They're not going to like me. I'm going to get laughed out of every arena that I go and do my sports ball in. And he's like making a big deal. He looks miserable the whole time up until the time when they're critiquing, and I think he throws up, if I remember correctly.
Now that you mention that, I remember seeing this episode, and now I think I know why I didn't want to remember it. Because it was filled with a heavy undertone of systematic issues.
Yeah.
Including like the whole self-hate as like in the queer community of like, I'm going to be judged. I should hate myself. I do hate myself. And then pushing that hate to the point of literally you get physically sick.
Yeah.
I do remember this because I was thinking like wedding episode. I do remember that. It was so cute though because Rue married some couples who were fans of the show. No, now I remember this one and I can see why they cut it. I can definitely see why they cut it. I didn't know they had cut it.
Yeah, there's even more, though. And I think the other thing we were going back on is that this is like pandering to a straight audience. Not a single one of these couples were gay couples. There were no lesbians. There were no gay couples. And that would have been such a great opportunity on TV to have married some gay people on TV, now that I'm thinking about it. But they chose some straight fans of the show. So this guy, he was miserable the whole time. Because the tea is that he was cheating on his wife constantly. Like, because he was traveling the world and doing, I think he was a basketball player or something. He was cheating on her constantly. And she was like, I'm done. I'm leaving. And he goes, no, I'll do anything. And she says, if you go on this show with me and do this episode with me, I won't leave you because I love this show. So come on and do it with me. So she basically bullied him and threatened him with divorce for cheating on her. So he went on the show and did Drag Race. And afterwards was totally embarrassed and mortified that he did it, that he got in drag. All of his teammates made fun of him. He sued the crap out of her for forcing him to go on it. And also sued the show for his portrayal. And basically got the episode yanked from TV. And I think they did end up getting divorced. But they can't show it anywhere because of his lawsuit.
Wow.
I, for one, hope they got divorced.
I think they did.
That's a whole mess.
A mess.
That's ridiculous.
And, like, again, correct me if I'm wrong. This is the episode where, like, Rue didn't marry couples. It was just, like, they were being portrayed as brides, right?
I think Rue does, like, a little speech and is like, I'm ordained, so here we gather and you're now married. Kiss. And then they kiss and that's it.
Oh, so this was both, like, I am apparently forgetting a lot of this episode because there were parts of this where it was sincerely endearing. And then I had completely forgotten about, like, the icky parts.
Yeah. There was a lot.
That's unfortunate.
There was a lot.
I sincerely thought these were two different episodes I was thinking of.
You might be thinking of the finale where she marries Jocelyn and Jocelyn's husband. Because there's that part that's really lovely.
Maybe.
And it's a take from this episode. It's a callback. But this episode's gone. They had no idea. The episode was airing up until a couple of years ago. I remember I went through maybe right at the beginning of the pandemic and went to go watch all the seasons again. And when I got to 6, I'm like, where's the bride episode? And it was missing. And I looked into it, found out the guy had sued years after the fact. So it's like gone. You can't find it anywhere. It might be somewhere like hidden on YouTube in reverse or something. You know, people will like upload those weird
like
cuts of something. Yeah. And then it'll have like a bunch of weird sound effects in it. So it doesn't tag any bots that might be listening to find copyrighted material. But yeah, you can't find the episode anywhere. It's crazy.
Who watches Drag Race on YouTube?
Oh. Oh no. I watch it on Paramount now. But we'll move on from that. This season is really interesting because it's a split intro. What are y'all's thoughts on the split intro? I've been talking enough, so I'm going to throw it to you.
I personally really like it because I have a very short attention span. So only meeting like 6 or 7 queens at a time, I really get to know them like
Mm,
on a deeper level.
I fully agree with that. Like when there's so many queens, like it's really hard to get to know them personally. So having it split, you do get to see you don't get to know them very well, but you at least get to know them better than if they were in a large group. And fully short attention span cannot hold a thought to save my life. It's why I kind of forget everything that Jer says. But really, it was beneficial in that
wow.
way to this season that we got to know the queens. Like that's might be the saving grace of the season. Sorry, Jared, were you wanting to say something? I wasn't
No,
paying
I
attention.
just said wow.
Oh, all right. I mean, it is presented by Wow, yes. Very good for you to know that fact.
Interesting. What did we
Mm,
think about the categories of the boxes that they got for the big opening? I have
I,
two things that I'm like, why did they have a Republican Party for the
yeah,
party box? Why didn't they do Democratic Party? That was stupid. And why did they have Duck Dynasty? What
I,
gay person is watching Duck Dynasty?
I thought they were really, like, it wasn't just catering. It was like a full-on catering service with a
It was,
buffet, and there
yeah.
was like shiny silverware sort of thing. Like they went all out to pander, and
Yes.
I was confused, and because of it, didn't really enjoy a lot of it. So like I
Mm,
was biased towards some of the queens from the
mm.
start, and the challenges didn't even like line up very well together. Like opening one and opening two, like they felt very different.
Very much so.
And definitely the ones in part two, I think, with the party themed boxes got the bad end of the stick.
I agree. I think they got definitely a negative end of that.
Yeah.
The second episode, like the second part, is like the hand-me-downs
Yeah.
of like what didn't work from the first episode.
Agreed. Which is such a
Yeah.
bummer because the second cast is so fun. The second
Yeah.
cast is Bianca, Courtney, Darian, Jocelyn, Magnolia, Milk, Trinity. It's a great group, and they're sort of edited unfavorably, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if they're edited unfavorably or just
Given a bad challenge.
I
that
think they were
too.
maybe dealt a bad deck of cards.
But it
Yeah.
also does feel like, because we've talked about production heavy um, routines where they find like a story arc, they find certain character archetypes, that sort of thing. I don't know if we see that quite as much this season. Besides, like they wanted to make Bianca the villain, and there was a redemption, therefore
Mm,
Bianca can win. But it kind of feels like production may have shat the bed.
a little bit. The one where all
It
the
kind of
feathers were?
feels. It really does feel disjointed in many
Yeah.
ways, though. Like episode to episode feels like there's always something that was like wrong.
And it wasn't just in the challenges, too, because the challenges don't feel right for this group. Everything feels off just a little bit. Like in past seasons, production was a little heavy handed with what they gave, but they had the Apocalypse Challenge, and there were some queens that kind of thrived in that realm with the using trash stuff. There were a lot of queens like Ivy and Alaska who used that, having a specific comedy challenge that catered to a lot of these girls' talents. The perfume, which catered to the pageant girls. This season, it's like there's all these weird acting challenges, all of these focuses on really nice, expensive gowns, but they didn't really have the right set of girls for that. They picked a lot of personalities and then shamed them for having personalities,
Yes.
like Laganja.
Fully, yeah, fully brought them on and said, like, be your best self. Show the world what your drag is. It's not good enough.
Right. Like Adore. They knew who they were picking when they brought her in, and every episode they were like, you're not doing enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not glamour enough, you're not a real
Yeah,
drag queen. And it's like, a real drag queen doesn't have to do a pageant. What is this?
fully
And then
that.
Laganja was TV. Laganja was giving what the girls now are trying to do. She set the tone for every other season. And every week they were like, you're too much. It was so weird.
It
Laganja
was.
is television.
She was way
Like,
ahead of her time.
oh, fully.
Yeah, and I think if Laganja had been on like later, same thing with like Milk too. Like we already
Yes,
touched on that. Like if they had been on a more modern season of Drag Race, like that's the aspiration now.
they would eat them up.
Really will.
They would
Right,
love
they
that.
cracked the code before there was one.
Right,
Yes.
right, exactly. And Jocelyn too. I mean, Jocelyn's kind of
Wah,
what
wah.
they want now. Wah wah.
Wah wah.
But I think the other thing too is it's not just in the challenges, it's on the runway too, because Michelle and Santino are arguing every single episode. It's exhausting.
It is. And I think it's both. I think that was TV because, if it's really dramatic, like the judges are at each other's throats, like eat the popcorn, eat the popcorn.
Yeah.
But also, like, you can see there's a defining split between, like, is this even queer culture anymore, or has this
Mm,
just become, like, a production for mainstream?
right.
And there's like Snatch Game, like so many of them were in like doubt for like what they could bring, except for like Bianca, where RuPaul was just like, I love Judge Judy.
Yeah.
But like Ben de la Creme kept asking, like, are you sure you want to do Maggie Smith? How is that going to be interesting? And
Right.
we do see that, but it felt like this season, like queens were discouraged both off the runway, during challenges, on the runway,
Before they even started with
after they were done.
right. April during the first walkthrough being totally discouraged from doing everything she wanted to do. All the I mean, I was just watching last night Vivacious being told when she's explaining what she wants to do and she goes, I don't want to put a baby dragon on my shoulder. That's Vivacious's drag is to do crazy avant-garde. And Ruth's just like, huh, okay. Like, don't do that. What? What? Why are you discouraging them from doing the drag that they do? You knew what they were hired for.
Yeah, and I think they learned a lot of lessons this season
Mm,
through that.
yeah.
But it definitely felt like almost like production and Rue too, honestly, felt shaken by the fact that this is now mainstream.
Yeah.
There is a significant amount of fans now that are heterosexual, whether they're a heterosexual couple enjoying Drag Race together, or it's heterosexual women who have their boyfriends forced to watch, or
That
have to appear on the show
poor
because they don't
man.
want to get divorced. Um, it does feel like they're nerved, they're unnerved, and they don't know
Yeah.
fully what to do, and they change their minds frequently.
Yes. Constantly, even. And it's, I don't know. Some people do regard this as the best season, though. They truly do.
Eh.
Eh. Or as Rue said in what was it, season 11? Meh.
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 I
Meh.
love that so much. Like I felt it hurt my soul. I
It
was like,
did.
yeah, that's fair.
Well,
But definitely, I think this was a season of hard lessons for
yeah.
production. We have queens who really brought performances, who really brought a
Yes.
lot to the table. Yes, they were held back in many ways, but they really turned it out. I think this was like we've talked about like queens making mistakes, about like forgetting words or
Mm,
coming out in something you're just like, why? This was a season of production failures, not queen
yeah.
failures.
Very
Fully.
that. Very that.
Exactly.
And that's why I don't like it very much. It's the production fumblings all season. And speaking of great performances, what was our favorite lip sync from this season? Because mine is anything Trinity was in. All of them were great.
Mine was Jocelyn and Laganja, the double split
Oh
at the
my
same time.
God, Stupid
Oh
Girls.
Yes, I
yes.
forgot about that.
Such a good one.
Oh
The
my
That was
God.
synchronized
so
split is just
iconic.
everything.
Yes.
And just like the judges like glancing at each other, like, was this planned? It's like, no, I think they
Yeah.
legitimately were just
Yeah, they were
following the
just
same
feeling
beat.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I forgot about that. I love that so much. I'm very partial to Ben de la Creme,
Mm,
and so when it was Ben and it was
Darian, both
Darian?
times.
Yes. When they did Stronger by Kelly Clarkson, like that was just, I love that one.
That was a fun one. I think almost all the time about Trinity clacking that fan during I'm Every Woman. And when she kind of just sits down on the stage and just fans herself and is just feeling the music, I think about that all the time. Trinity was the tea.
Do you want to sit on a stage with a giant fan and just
I
live your
do.
moment?
I do. Back when I was doing drag more frequently, that was kind of like my thing that I would do all the time because I'm not a dancer. I'm really good with lip syncing, but I'm not a dancer. So I would sort of like sit on the stage a lot and sort of just emote and pose. And my like adopted kind of drag mother ate it up every single time. I remember I did it once and I sat down and I would just started like combing like my hair through with my fingers and like kind of just fanning it out. And I remember I heard her go, "Yes, bitch!" And she like just started snapping. And I'm like, oh, at least she gets it. At least she understands. But
Can we touch on that a little bit, actually?
Oh.
No, I'm not going to read you, drag you. I mean, I could if
You
you gave me.
could.
But that is actually an important note that Drag Race kind of makes it seem like drag performances are you have to do the splits, you have to do the twirls. Like if you're not sweating by the end of it, was it drag?
Right.
And I think it kind of undercuts a lot of like serious performers and their serious performances when you can have art without this being like an over the top, like it's not even Broadway at this point. This is like Cirque du Soleil level production.
Yeah.
Like you can do your art and be appreciated by it. You don't have to do all of that Drag Race sort of like demands that you do.
Yeah.
Like it's on the rare occasion we'll see a queen do really well, but then they didn't do like a big dance or something. Like trying to think of Latrice Royale.
Oh yeah, what is it? I'm Every Woman?
Like
No.
a woman.
Feeling like a, what is that? Yeah.
What's the song?
You make me feel like a natural woman.
There we go,
Yeah.
that one. Natural Woman, and just like so moving. Like that's drag in its purest form. Like it's a performance. It's
just
not a
performance,
gimmick.
yeah. I think there's so many different ways to perform, and not all of them include like splits and wig reveals and flips and stuff like that. Like sometimes it really is just standing there and moving the audience.
Yeah.
It is. And I think a lot of queens have gotten red for being, too slow on the runway or not being expressive enough and showing a side that's artistic but that the judges didn't quite get.
Yeah. Agreed. And I think that's why I turned up to Trinity, because she kind of changes the game for what lip syncing is. So many girls in 5 were death dropping and splitting, and this season we see a lot of that with like Laganja and with Gia, with Jocelyn even. But Trinity just takes it slow, tells you all the words, and emotes, and gives you a story. I live.
That's how it should be. Like if that's how you want to do your drag with the splits and death drops,
right?
And you want to pull out like the flaming pins or something, you do that. Like you do you.
Yeah.
But, like it's also okay just to, be a performer and do what you like.
Speaking of lip syncing, this is the first season where 2 of the finalists don't lip sync at all. Courtney and Bianca. Neither one of them.
I know it's Bianca, but who was the other one? I didn't realize that Courtney in the act didn't lip sync.
She should have at least 3 times, in my opinion.
All right, then.
Say.
All right.
Sorry, R.I.P. to her career. I think this season, in my opinion, like I felt season 5 was really fair in their bottoms and was weird in their highs. I felt like it was opposite in this one. I felt like a lot of the highs made sense. All the bottoms were weird week after week after week. And I'm like, why is she not lip syncing?
I think it's because their like criteria was changing, because everything was on fire for production. So they're trying to figure out like what's the best way to stage everything. No, that's too boy, that's not glamorous, and just it was ever changing. So that's why I think the bottoms like reflect that.
Can I give a controversial opinion?
Nothing has stopped you up to this point. I don't know why you even bothered to ask.
I think episode 1 through like 5, whatever that was, 4, those were all so weird because they needed Courtney and Adore for Shade the Rusical. They could not do Shade without the two of them. So it did not matter how bad both of them did in that first episode because, in my opinion, Courtney and Adore should have been lip syncing their first episodes, and Adore should have been lip syncing the Scream Queens episode. But they needed them to be in Shade.
Interesting.
Who else was gonna sing?
Challenge? Yeah, I was gonna say, do you think that challenge was kind of like made for them?
They were both on American Idol, or on
Right.
Idol versions. Courtney was on Australian Idol. Who else was that challenge made for? That one role of the main character who has all those notes, and they were both pushed really hard. No one else could have done that. Not singing live.
Like, I'm trying to play devil's advocate and come up with something like alternative to that, and it's painful how like true that probably is.
Yeah. That's why this season feels really clunky because it's like, who else was gonna do that?
So it kind of feels as if like they chose the queens and then made the challenges.
Yeah. And then Bianca being the only comedian, I feel like Bianca placed low a couple times and should have probably been up to lip sync once or maybe just once, maybe even twice. But who were they going to have be the headliner of the comedy challenge?
I don't think anyone could have headlined the comedy challenge besides Bianca.
She was the only one. And I mean, some of the other challenges like the wedding one and the makeover, whatever, snatch game, those are standard challenges, right? The oh no, she better don't. Which one of those girls, which one of those white girls was going to do a rap song? Like,
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time they forced them into it and be like, just do your best.
Right.
It's fine.
I kind of feel like that one was sort of built for Adore, too, personally.
I mean,
it feels like
love
it.
Adore so much.
I do too.
Like, and I do agree, I think now, thinking more and more on it, they catered this to have certain reactions, I guess. And it very much feels as if they didn't know what reaction they wanted. They just know they really just wanted the straight people to like them.
They did. And personally, I mean, I don't want to discount her work. And maybe I'm a little bit biased because I just don't really like Bianca that much. I feel like they knew they wanted to crown her. And they were like, how can we do this? So week after week, they just made it seem like everybody else was doing so bad so that Bianca looked so good.
I think they came up with that like towards the end, and then I think the edits sort of reflect that.
It felt like it happened sort of like around Snatch Game-ish to me.
Yeah, I think once it got to that point, and with the comedy challenge, and like just she did have some good looks.
Right.
With everything pulled together, I think they realized, oh yeah, obviously the winner.
Right.
I can get behind that.
I don't know. That's just me, and I don't want to talk crap about her achievements because she did well in the show. It's just I feel like they knew that they wanted to crown her from the start.
Again, this is definitely not a season that has queen failures. It's
production. Exactly. And I think they try to make Trinity look messy, which she wasn't. She was just not seasoned in television, and neither was any of them. So it's like, I don't know. I felt like they really tried to make everyone look messy and stupid and bad so that Bianca would look like such a strong winner. You know? Rather than just let everybody's talents shine for themselves. Because I don't think they trusted that they could have that again, you know?
Do you think this was also a season of, like, they just doubted their own queens so much?
I think so.
That, like, they're like, we have to have, like, literally kind of a script.
I think so.
That's how it felt, for sure.
To me, it did. It felt like...
More and more, I'm disappointed by this.
This is just my opinion, you know? Feel free to talk to others. Again, people regard this as one of the best seasons. So I could be completely off in my interpretation of it, but this feels like top to bottom scripted television We know who our hero is, who's winning the whole thing. And we need everybody else to fall in line. And if they don't, we're going to edit them to look that way.
I think that also contributes to why it's, for me, a forgettable season. Because part of like the memorable aspect of a lot of the queens and the storylines is like not knowing what to expect.
Right. The
And
dynamicism.
that's right. That's for any TV show. Like you never want to know what to expect every single time you sit down to watch it. You want to be surprised and like taken aback by what you discover every episode.
Yeah. That's why All
Very
Stars
much
1 is a
so.
little boring for me, because it's so clear that they want Chad to win. So everybody else has to
Yeah.
look bad.
Right.
In my
I hope
opinion.
Jerry's indoctrinating us.
Welcome to the cult of Jer's conspiracy theories.
Fully though, it does. Yeah, it feels as if, because I think they wanted Bianca to be the villain actually, and
Yeah.
then when they decided like, oh, this is winner quality, switch this around really quickly. Like, oh, she's like a drag mother for the group now.
Right.
Look how funny and talented she is.
She gets a little redemption. It's a villain
Yeah.
we can root for.
Very
Because,
much
I
that.
mean, I want to be honest. Watching Bianca, it feels like she bullies a lot of those girls. The instigation of Trinity being like, her saying, well, this is what I really want to do is be Beyonce in Vegas. And Bianca immediately being like, well, you're not really in the business that long, and you haven't been doing it, and you don't really look like Beyonce. Who can do Beyonce? Oh, I'm just thinking, like, it would be cool if I had my own show and I could get a couple girls, and then Bianca going, yeah, you're going to be that sensitive about it. It comes across very,
Yes.
like, bully behavior.
I think that's. I don't think it's her being her, that being her humor excuses it, but definitely she's like that in her shows as
Right.
well, and she's got into hot water for it.
Right.
Yeah, it's well known about Bianca
Right.
that she doesn't really care how her humor comes off to
Right.
people.
And
Yeah, very much so.
that's a coping mechanism that a lot of queer people use, especially if you grew up in a certain time, which she did. I just don't think it's like gaslighting is funny to me. Like,
I agree.
oh, so what do you want to do? Oh, I don't think that's a good idea. Oh, well, this is why I think, well, if you're going to be sensitive about it, if you're going to get upset about me telling you my opinion, it's like, girl, calm down, please. Just like a little bit.
And I think that's why she made such a good villain, because it was very
Right.
clear, like, she's the antagonist in all of this.
Right. She was instigating a
then-
lot of the drama.
Yeah, they had a lot of interns pulling overtime to edit and make her look like
Right.
the redeemed
Yeah,
hero by the end of
because
it.
she didn't even get a villain edit, you know?
Mm.
At least to me. I mean,
No.
she got a very clear, like, this is who was meant to win edit.
Right.
I would even argue that, like, someone like Courtney was more of a villain.
Oh,
in the
absolutely.
season
Oh, yeah.
than
The way she was picking
Bianca.
on Jocelyn all the time, Courtney definitely got a villain edit.
Right.
Very much that. I definitely was rooting for other queens to win. Bendela Creme,
Bendela.
Adore, and just... I wasn't surprised Bianca won, and I think it's well deserved. Bianca does work hard. It's just... I was confused this season. It kind of felt like I was in high school again.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
a lot to do with the editing, I think, and the way that they
Yes.
push these girls.
100% I blame production again. Like, I don't think, like, any queen really had, like, a big screw-up.
No, I think they all did great. And I think the other thing that's disappointing about the season 2 is the villain keeps jumping. It
Yes.
starts with Gia, and then
Yes.
it jumps to Bianca for a bit, and then it flips over to Darian, and then it goes to Courtney, and then it kind of goes back to Bianca, and then it's back to Darian again. And it's like all these little interpersonal dramas, it drains me.
I honestly also think there might have been a professional and even a personal split behind the scenes with production. Because you do see the judges, like, bicker and all that, and I'm sure that is in part TV, but I also think at that point, I think Michelle is having enough of enough.
Right, she's done with Santino. And I wouldn't be surprised if Michelle hadn't sat down with Rue midway through the season and was like, I will not do this anymore. Get him out of here.
I would if I was her.
He was arguing
Let's
with her
just get back to
constantly.
Because, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the last time Santino is even there.
He shows up once in season 7, and then he
Oh,
never comes
gross.
back.
Well,
Yeah,
close to being
he
the
shows up in the
last.
Hello Kitty
Pretty
ball.
much.
Yeah.
Oh.
But Michelle could be like, oh, I hate your dress and it's ill-fitting. And Santino would say, I love that it's lumpy on you. I think that it's great that it doesn't fit well on you. And then Michelle would say, oh, I love this color on you. It's so beautiful. And then Santino would say, oh, I really hate this color. It's not good. He would say everything opposite of her. And it was like, girl, can you
That's why
shut
I
your
think
mouth or your no
it's-
drag knowledge mouth?
Yeah, I think that was why I think it's partly the production.
Yeah.
But I do think there was a split with. I don't know if it was necessarily Michelle and Santino, but I think they kind of represent that split very well behind the scenes.
It seems like it. It seemed like something weird was going on.
Yeah, there was a a change in production hierarchy.
Yeah, probably. It seems like it in this season.
Yeah,
But
it's a fight for who can get their message out.
Right, exactly. When we get to the end of the season, there is obviously they do multiple endings. This is one of the only seasons that I know of where there was a double crowning. Did you know this?
No.
They double crowned Adore and Bianca.
I did hear this.
What?
It's one of the
Okay.
only seasons where they double crowned.
I
Yeah,
know nothing about
even-
this.
Yeah, even the first Twinners, we didn't get like a double crowning filmed.
Yeah, I don't. That one was unexpected. They just did that. But I don't
Right.
think they've double crowned anybody since then. I think there was rumors that there was a double crown for 10. But I've only heard that one time. I've never heard it substantiated by anybody else. But this is one of the only seasons where they double crown someone. I don't even think Courtney got a crown. Because I think they did Bianca
Right.
and Adore and then a double. And I don't think Courtney got one.
That's kind of that bums me out.
Courtney.
I don't know if she could have won, though. I don't think
No,
she had
I
a
don't
shot.
think so. Just because of with the villain edit and everything being, we kind of talked about this last episode, but
Mm.
the villain can't win, and that's why they tried everything in their power to make Bianca come off as not the villain,
Yeah.
because they really, really wanted her to win.
Can I tell you another conspiracy theory that I have?
Let's hear it.
I think they knew who they wanted as top 3 because they wanted to have this season be the ABCs of drag, because they talk about that during the countdown to the crown. They're like, and here are the ABCs of drag: Adore Delano, Bianca Del Rio, Courtney Act. And they like highlight important things that they brought to the show.
And 4th place is Darian.
Yes.
What?
I think I have so many conspiracy theories about this season in particular that this just feels like I could take a cork board and literally put up like 100 photos and have lines that go everywhere and be like, and this one points to this. Like, this season makes my conspiracy theorist brain go wild.
And the sad
God,
part
that
is
wild.
we can't necessarily find out the full truth of it, because when it's like the queen side of things, like the queens will eventually come out and talk about it.
Right.
With the production side, I don't think we're ever going to hear about it.
No, they'll never talk about that.
And so we may never get the answers of, maybe it is something just as simple as like, production was trying to cater to like what Rue wanted, and Rue was split between Michelle and Santino, and that was the simple explanation of it. I'm pretty sure it's much more complex than that, but like we literally will never know.
Yeah. Because they'll
Right.
never say it.
Yeah.
Because
Unless,
they'll
like,
get hit.
Rue
with
writes
lawsuits.
an autobiography and is like, my time on Drag Race. Oh, when I was young.
You know
Because,
what?
Rue is going to live forever at this point.
Right? I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think Michelle would ever do it. I wouldn't be surprised if Santino did a tell-all interview one day, because the Jays from Top Model, Miss J and what is his name? The other one. Who's the guy? The one with the white hair? James Alexander? No. Jay Alexander. The two of them, they did a podcast together where they were talking about a bunch of the backstage tea about everything that went on in Top Model. So I wouldn't be surprised if Santino one day did a tell-all, or if somebody from production came out and did a tell-all. I would
I
not
think
be
the difference.
surprised.
I think the difference is they had something to stand on, like they had their whole career behind them. Santino is
Right.
dependent on the opinions and professional connections of others.
Yeah.
I think if Santino tried to step up while Rue was still there, Rue would just crush
Oh,
whatever is
fully.
Right.
left of Santino.
Fully. Well,
Yeah.
production already does that. One of the girls who got eliminated from the current All Stars, right before they did a viewing party, someone from production came up to them and said, before you go in and tell what you think about what your next gig is.
Oh,
And
I hate
God, I
that.
threatened
hate when
her.
they do stuff like that.
That is
Yeah.
literally a threat.
Right. So I wouldn't be surprised if
Yeah.
someone would do that to one of them and be like, think about what you're going to do next. If you want to keep
Hate
working
that.
in Hollywood, maybe don't do a tell all. So I wouldn't
Oh,
be
I hate it.
surprised. But
I think
Right.
if we are going to hear anything, if it's not going to be from Rue one day, I think it's going to be Michelle because Michelle has a career to like be backed up by.
maybe.
But also, I think Michelle could like set the entire stage on fire, and Rue would be like, "I love you, Michelle."
Right. Maybe she'll be like Joan Rivers, you know? Someday in the far distant future, she'll have like a in bed with Michelle Visage and she'll sit down while they drink martinis and she'll tell all the backstage stuff that happened with the famous queens as they're old and out of drag, you know? I feel
actually
like
would
that
like
could
that
happen.
a
I would
lot.
love that. So, anyways, getting to a kind of wrap up point of the show, we get to the very end and Bianca's the winner. And in my opinion, who else is going to win that? I don't think it was really built for anybody else. I would have been totally cool with a double crown, but I think it was obvious that she was going to. Did y'all have any feelings about Bianca winning?
I was fine with any of them winning,
Mm.
but it was very obviously Bianca's season to lose, I thought.
To lose.
Or win? How does the phrase go? It was Bianca's to win.
Yeah.
I think I was like in shock still that Ben de la Creme went home. And I
Yeah.
was very sad, so I was like, well, now I don't care. And then I was like, okay, fine. Let's go with Adora and Darian. Darian gets eliminated. I'm like, why? Why is this happening to me? Okay, Adora, obviously Adora's gonna win.
I didn't think that
And
Dela did that
just-
bad in the glitter ball.
I really don't think so either. And I mean, well, when she comes back for All Stars and proves quality of queen,
Right.
just winning challenge after challenge. But yeah, I think it's fine Bianca won. Bianca obviously has the skill for it. It's just I had been rooting for Ben for so long
Yeah.
that I was crushed, and then like I very much was into Adore and everything that she brought, and
Right.
just then was also very sad.
Right. Anything that you feel is very iconic of this season, anything that makes you think that was season 6. Okay, ending on a positive note here. Since we've
Oh, it has to be
So-
positive.
well,
I was
I
gonna say
mean-
the production.
Yeah, I mean, yes. But
The positive,
yeah.
I would say the quality of queens we saw. We didn't get to
Mm.
see everything that they could bring, but the quality of queens, everyone had something, and it was amazing.
So good.
Like I don't believe, in my opinion, there was anyone brought on the season where it was just like, maybe they're not ready. Maybe they should go practice a little. Maybe do you know how to sew? Like I think everyone had something to bring, and I wish production had done better to highlight them.
Yeah. Me too. I think maybe if they had been on another season, that would have been really great too. All these queens are so excellent.
Yeah, can we
Yeah.
have like season 6 do-over?
Right, with better challenges and less production meddling.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say, I mean, we have some personalities on this season for sure.
Mhm.
For sure.
I love Laganja.
I love her.
She's so funny. She was so ahead of her time. If Laganja had been cast in like season 7 or 8 or 9 or literally any other season, they would have eaten her up. They'd have eaten her up because she was great TV. We will wrap up here in season 6. Thank you as always for doing this with me. I had a lot of fun. And then thank
Thank you
you
for
for
having
listening to
us.
my conspiracies.
Yes, I always have so much fun.
Yeah, it's always a good time to be here.
Yeah. Community service. We love it.
All
But
the time.
for everybody listening, thank you so much for tuning in. And we will talk to you very soon with season 7, one of my absolute favorite seasons of all time. I
Season
love season
7
7.
is a really good one.
Yeah, I love it. But thank you all so much for listening. And remember to take care of yourselves. Know you're doing a fantastic job. And you're doing the best that you can. And that is all you can do. And goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.